A couple of years ago, I went through the most insane Black Friday Day sale ever in my entire life. It happened around 2014 when I was just 24 years old. My name is Emily, by the way. At the time, I was in need of a new laptop, since my old one was getting a bit old and a bit slow. And I learned that my local Target in my town's gonna have a Black Friday sale, so I thought, how about if I just go there and hopefully find a decent, well priced of a laptop? So, so I went there, and it was a decent of people. I decided to go during the daytime since I had a day off from my work, and sure enough, I heard a lot of people had could make a good deal to find anything from electronics, you name it, on the Black Friday sales. And I was actually looking around since I haven't been to this particular Target in a while, since last time they had rechanged the layout in the store. So it took me a little bit while to find an electronic department. But when I went there, I actually found a well much decent, well looking new laptop. I took it, and when I was about to go to the cashier to just pay for it, but halfway through, this woman behind me, which now I'm pretty much known is would have been categorized as Karen. She started literally yelling out so loud behind me, claiming that I stole or at least took the laptop from her cart. I was taken aback. I turned around, and this middle aged woman, this Karen, probably like in her late 30s and early 40s, just stood there with a cart full of other things, and she started pointing at me, and there were a few people in the aisle looking at me and said she claimed that I took the laptop that she had put in her cart. And I was just like stunned. I didn't want to know what to do. I mean, I could just simply walked away, but that would have made me look more guilty. So I tried to stand my ground and just spoke up and I said I didn't take this from her cart at all. I was actually from the electronic department. I found it there and I was about to pay for it when this woman claimed I took it. And even though that she was alone, and I want to ask her if there was any witness who saw me taking it, she said no, that she didn't need a witness because turn out she was always right, as in her words. And as she was about to say more, suddenly a man interrupted her and said, no, ma'am, she did not take that laptop from your cart. And this Karen's like, excuse me? Are you standing by her lie? But this man said he was actually at this electronic department with me at the same time, and when I looked at him, and sure enough, I did recognize him. He was there at the time with his two sons. And this Karen was so loud by yelling out, claiming that I took the laptop from her cart, which had drawn attention to a Target employee who told her to calm down so they can solve this issue. When he asked me from my side, I told the same thing, and this father and his two boys actually confirmed I was there, took from the laptop from the shelf, and went to pay for it. But it was then when he said that the woman was so red in her face. She yelled out this man to just mind his own business and not to be saying such lies to protect me because I'm a young woman. But others said, listen, if we need any further evidence, why don't we just call for to look at the security cameras? Which I said maybe that could prove and I didn't take this laptop from her cart. But the woman said that there's no need for that because she knows and that I was gonna be banned from the store. But the employee said, let's do that. We can do that. And after that, This employee even called for his supervisor, which came, and they went back to his back office. And after only a few minutes, both came out and said, "Ma'am, this young lady did not take this card from your cart. She was from the department we had electronics, so you can't stay here and make such claims. So we ask you just move on and stop making such lies about accusing someone who not was even near you." But hearing those words, she started claiming, yelling that I was somehow corrupting these employees. And then she said, "I'm calling the police." And what she did. And when the police came over, there were at least two officers. The supervisor took one of the officers backstage in the back office, showed them the same recording of me at the electronics department, but not even near this particular lady. When that happened, the other officer took my side, and even the father, when the two boys asked us, both of us, our side, what happened. And then he went back to talk to this Karen who still stood by her ground. But despite when the other officer came back, he explained to this lady and to his partner that she didn't take it. And there's nothing wrong because they were like, "Ma'am, don't make such lies about someone who didn't not even know wasn't near you." But hearing that from even two officers, she exploded in a tantrum, explaining that she didn't lie. When she asked all about the man to see them herself, well, two officers took her with the supervisor to do that. And after that, she went silent. But even after that she had seen the evidence, she didn't even apologize to me. She just went back to her cart and just left the area in silence. I told the officers thanks for that, for the help, and to the employees and his supervisor. I even thanked the father for his side that stood by my side, and he said, "No problem. Everyone had to be showing the true color of this Karens," he said with a big smile. After that, I went to pay for my laptop and went back home. Ever since then, I have been there to this particular target but never saw that woman. I don't think that she was banned or anything, just I'm glad that I never encountered her ever again. My name is Mason. A few years ago, I was in a desperate need of a new TV since my old one simply just failed and broke down on me. And since I really needed a new one, and since I knew that my local Walmart had a Black Friday sale, and this happened around 2017 when I was just 22 years old, and I knew this particular Walmart had usually a good deals when it comes to electronics like TV, computers, and all that. So I immediately went there during the early afternoon the same day. I went straight to the electronics department, and to my luck, I saw there was only one plasma screen TV left. I put it in the box in my cart, and as I was about to push away from this department and go pay for it, I heard a voice behind me to tell me to stop, to hand over the TV to him. I was like, "What?" I turned around, and there was this middle-aged man who claimed since this was the last TV, it should belong to him because he was also there to take it. But I took it before him, and that I should hand it over to him. But I said, "Sir, I was there before you, and since this TV wasn't reserved for anyone, and which is true, you can't just simply reserve the TV if it's the last one. If I was there before him, it would have my right to take it." So I just turned around back and was about to leave. I only had maybe to just only take a few steps, but this man once again claimed to tell me to stop and hand over the TV to him. But I just stopped and I didn't turn around and said, "Sir, this TV doesn't belong to you. You can't reserve this to anyone." And then I just continued walking. But he yelled out at me to stop. But I didn't listen. He continued to walk. But after only a few minutes, I heard him running behind me, and suddenly he grabbed me by my shoulder and turned me to face him, and he said, "I will have you arrested." For what? I asked him. And I mean, I didn't even stole the TV from him because this TV hadn't even been paid by anyone, not by him or me. So technically, it still belonged to the store, not any of us. But then he said something that he was an off duty cop. And he told me if I gave him the TV, he wouldn't have me arrested for like to make it this just simply go away. But he could arrest me for something which I didn't even do or even steal. I told him that calmly to say, "Sir, even if this is true, but you can't arrest me for taking his TV. It didn't even belong to you." That made him so red in his face, and he started yelling at me to tell me to shut up and just simply give him the TV, or he would just take my cart and just walk off by it. And I was just standing there stunned, as he would still have a grip on my shirt, and I told him, trying to calmly, "Sir, this TV doesn't belong to you or me. It still belongs to the store, so you can't have me arrested for something which hasn't even been taken. And you should know this if you are a police officer," I told him. But that made him even more angry, and he told me to just simply shut up and hand over TV right now, or then he will have me arrested on the spot. Hearing this commotion, a Walmart employee actually heard all this and walked over to us and asked what was wrong. Before I could have anything to say, this man told this employee that he said that cart was his, and as he was looking at something, I took the cart and simply walked off. And I told, and after that, interrupted and said, "That is not even true. That is my cart. I took it. I took the TV, and this man demanded I hand it over, or he will have me arrested because he's an off-duty cop." And the employee was really stunned because now he has at least two versions of the story. And this young man, this employee, he looked to be at least in his late 20s, so almost like around if he were around my age. And he could just simply not know what to believe. So he called for his manager over the phone, which did arrive, and he wanted to try to solve this problem peacefully. But even if he wanted, this middle-aged man still didn't even want to have this issued problem solved. He just simply told them, "Just let me take the TV and I will leave, and no more problem." But the employee and the manager couldn't even just simply do that because they couldn't even prove who took the TV first, me or him. Then I said something like, "Security cameras." And the man like, "What?" "Look at the security cameras. You can tell who actually took the TV before and first, me or him." Then the manager said, "All right, you wait here and we'll go look." And for some reason, the man started getting a bit nervous. But before he could say anything, the manager had already walked off, and after like 10 minutes or so, he came back and he told the man to just simply telling, "Sir, this young man took the TV before you, and I overheard on the phone, on the audio, in the recording, saying that you are an off-duty cop. Is that true?" "Yes, it is true." Then, simply, he said, "Well, I actually had a friend who was working in the law enforcement, and he's actually on his way right here." "Wait, what?" this man said. And he was even more nervous. I was like curious and even worried one of myself. Why would this middle-aged man getting so nervous about the police actually have been called? But before he can even go in to leave himself, he tried to make excuses that he didn't need the TV anymore and that I could take it and he was due to walk away. But then another man around in his late 30s showed up. He was actually a real cop. When the manager turned out this was the manager's friend, when the manager told him what happened, the officer walked up to this middle-aged man and asked for his name. And he said his name, and he said, "Sir, you're not a police officer in this city, because I know everyone in the department. And being impersonating as a police officer is a crime." Before the man could say anything, he was in handcuffs already and left away from this officer. He told the manager that was a good thing because they apparently have been looking for this man. He had been impersonating as a cop for at least a few weeks now to different places. So so that he wouldn't even get arrested or something. And I was like, well, good thing that he is behind bars now and not me. I laughed. And sure, long story short enough, this actually ended up in the local news, and yes, the man ended up being arrested for at least a few years behind bars of impersonating as a police officer. And another thing is, yes, I did get a TV for good price. But was this a really good story to have been telling my friends and family sometime afterwards? Yes. Was I terrified? Well, yeah, anyone would. By the end, I was glad to turn out I was not in any wrong here. So yeah, this man will never be bother me or anyone else for a really long time now. So please, middle-aged man from Walmart, let us never meet again. My name is Angela. I have a really crazy story that involves Black Friday, and this happened around 2016 when I was just 22 years old. Me and my fiance, Leo, was getting married around the summer 2017, and we were in need of a new digital camera for our wedding, since my old one was completely broken. And you may ask why we need our own camera? Well, we wanted to have our own camera to have one of my relatives could take a photo with it. So, and we learned that our local Costco was having a Black Friday sale, and we like, this is a good time because we know that Costco usually have a good selection of computers and electronics, and including cameras. So we went there. And since we went there in early afternoon around 1 p.m., and since we both of us had a day off, when we arrived at Costco, we saw there wasn't that much people there at the moment. But it's a good thing we went there perhaps in early afternoon, because who knows, any later evening or something like that, it might be at least more crowded. So both of us just like, good thing we went here early. I told Leo that I was going to through the electronics to find a good camera, while he was doing some other shopping beside that. And he told me to just, after I find the camera, to just go to find him. So I did. When I arrived to the electronics, I looked around first at some computers like laptops and other things, mobile cell phones, even though I wasn't not in need of any, but just obviously interested to see what they would cost otherwise during the Black Friday. But after a while, I did look around the cameras, and I wasn't really looking for any particular model or anything like it, but only a particular camera that would have at least good pictures on it, at least a digital camera. After I found one that I was interested in, I took it, and as I was about to leave, this couple, a young couple in their mid-20s, told me to stop and hand over the camera to them because they were apparently looking for to find a camera and they had chosen the one I had taken. I was like, well, there are a lot of other cameras you can probably think, and there's still others of the same model that I took in on the still on the shelf. But apparently that was no good answer. But the young woman told me to just hand over the camera, well, as a box that the camera was in, to her. But I told her once again, there's still the same box, the same model of camera on the shelf. So why this particular one? There's still the same model in the boxes on the shelf, I told them once again. But that didn't satisfy them at all. They told me to simply hand over what they would call for an assistant because, quote unquote, had me arrested for being quote unquote stealing cameras or a product from the Costco, which was complete lie. I wasn't even stealing, but I just turned around and just walked off. First, they just yelled at me to come back with the camera, but I ignored them. I looked around in the store to find Leo, but at first, I didn't know where to find him. He told me what he was looking to find, so I went to those places first. But apparently, he had only been there, and I was looking around for more and more. And I probably say maybe 5 to almost 8 minutes later, and I thought I saw him. But then suddenly I felt someone grab my shoulder and thought, okay, maybe that was Leo trying to scare me. And I was like a big smile, but when I turned around, it wasn't even Leo. That was the young man from earlier, from electronics. He stood there with a big grin and told me just hand over the camera and we'll have no issue. But I told him once again, if you really want the same type of camera, just go back to electronics. There's still probably still some other cameras on the shelf. But his girlfriend, assumed at least, told me from behind him, just simply hand over the camera or else. I was like, or else what? I told myself in my mind. I didn't dare to tell them that or to ask them directly because I didn't know what they were planning to do. And since this man wasn't even having a firm grip on my shoulder, I immediately get out of his grip and just took off running. And he's like, started yelling at me to stop and hand over the camera right away. I ran and ran, and after only a couple of seconds of running, I heard a voice behind me, at least to the side. Angela, what are you running for? And I saw it was Leo, who came out from one aisle with a few things. I ran up to him and told him what happened. As I was doing that, the same couple came behind us and told me to hand over the camera. I told them that's the couple harassing me for handing over the camera. And Leo, who usually is a big teddy bear, but if you went on his wrong side, you will have him a bad time. He would be like a full rage grizzly bear, which I can say. And another thing is, my fiance Leo, he's a martial art instructor. He's a karate black belt instructor. And he told this guy to just back off. And I told him once again what happened. And Leo told him calmly, say, look, if you really want this type of camera, just go back to electronics. You probably will find the same type of camera still on the shelf. So why did you want a camera? If you want this particular camera, just go back there, and she has the right to have this one. You can't just claim that this belonged to you. But somehow that made this man even more upset. And he started yelling louder, louder, and louder of all this. But Leo stood firm, and I stood behind him. And the man's girlfriend behind him was trying to escalate the whole situation even complete worse when she claimed that I took it from her hand, which was another complete lie. Because when I was in the electronics apartment, this couple wasn't even standing near me. They were probably like 10 to 15 feet away from me. And they weren't even looking at cameras in the first place. They were just looking at complete different electronic. And during this commotion, an employee actually walked up to us and asked what was the problem. And I told him what happened. And this young man, the couple, explained that I stole, or at least took that camera box from his girlfriend's hands, but which wasn't even true. And as during this commotion, it was getting louder and louder because the employee had no idea how to solve this problem. When his manager, a young woman, probably in her early 30s, something like that, came up to us and told us to just calm down and so they had this problem solved. They just told us to come with them, which we all did, and they told us to just wait outside this particular door with the employee, and she went off the back room, because it turned out that she went to the office. She wanted to look at the cameras, and she did came out only a few minutes later and told this couple just to leave me and Leo alone, especially particularly me. I didn't even take the box from his girlfriend's hands as she claimed, but that made only them both more angrier. But he told them, if you don't listen, leave, or I will have the police arrive here in a few minutes. Since the police station wasn't even that far from the Costco. So the couple like, screw this, you can keep it. And they just left. They left the store entirely though. They didn't even bought anything. After the young couple had left the store, I thanked the manager and the employee for their help to have this situation taken care of. And the manager told me that she didn't even believe the type of story because of how they acted. And she saw that I was completely scared when I was standing behind Leo in the first place. So again, I thanked her, and we went to pay for the camera and some of the stuff that Leo bought. And then, about a couple of weeks later, when I was home alone, I did a call from Leo from work. He told me to just turn on the local news, and I did. And to my surprised look, it turned out the same young couple that we had encountered a couple of weeks earlier were now arrested. They were arrested for suspicion of stealing items from different stores during the Black Friday weekend. I was like, what? They were finally got caught by stealing items from Walmart only the same day. What a strange comment. I mean, what is a strange thing to happen? They were trying to proudly to steal the camera from the store that we were at. I was like, well, seems that their luck didn't turn out that we were, because they probably would have managed if I was alone, if I wasn't there with Leo, and if that the manager and the employee never went to help me. Well, ever since then, I decided I decided to take some class at self-defense with Leo, which good thing too, because you never know if that kind of thing will eventually come to help you in different needs of situations. And what about this couple though? Well, they end up behind bars for at least about 5 years or so, which perhaps deserve them for that. So it's unlikely I will ever run into them again. So yeah. And once again, thank you for listening.